everybody, how lovely to see you all. I'm Lee from thecraftyspark.co.uk, in case you didn't know, and I'm doing this video today because I wanted to explain why I left Stampin' Up, what happened, the problems that I had, disperse any myths and theories, because I have heard a few of them which were quite funny, but hey ho. So I thought I'd come on today and I'd explain to you why I left Stampin' Up, and also why I actually joined again, because there's quite a few videos out there where people are saying I left Stampin' Up because this and I left Stampin' Up because of that, and my reasons for leaving Stampin' Up are very, very different to the majority of people. So I guess I just really wanted to tell you what happened. It's going to be difficult, I won't lie. It's not a subject that I've spoken out about very much. A few close friends know what happened. Most people don't. So, okay, where to start? Alright, let's go from the very beginning. I joined Stampin' Up originally in 2015, I think it was. Maybe 2014. Anyway, I was a demonstrator for about 3 years. I had a nice team. I had a team of ladies that I used to work with. There was about 30 of us altogether. And we used to have a laugh. It used to be really funny. We used to have a great time. We had our own Facebook group and we used to really enjoy it, and we used to craft together, make things together, share ideas together, help each other. There wasn't a bad thing about it. The team was just amazing. Stampin' Up as a company, I think a lot of people get a little bit tetchy, for want of a better phrase, with, because I've heard people saying about they left because Stampin' Up get rid of a lot of their products too fast, or Stampin' Up didn't give them the support that they wanted, or Stampin' Up did this, that or the other. You know, there's all sorts of various reasons why people got disgruntled and left. But they weren't my reasons. My reasons were very, very different, because I loved being a Stampin' Up demonstrator. I absolutely loved it. It was the best thing I ever did, ever. I've got disability issues myself. I've got problems with my joints. I suffer with very severe fatigue. I get vestibular migraines, which make me lose my balance all over the place. I do have issues, and Stampin' Up made me feel a part of it again. It made me feel that I belonged, because when you have a disability of any sort, you can feel very, very isolated and very lonely. And Stampin' Up took that away for me, you know, because it meant that I could stay in the environment that I was able to work with, if you like. In other words, I could stay at home. I didn't have to travel out anywhere to go to an office or see people or anything like that. As you can see behind me, this is my craft room. It's also my husband's office, hence the football shirt up on the wall there, because he is a crazy nut Ipswich supporter, so hence the Ipswich shirt. But I don't know, I had a bit of a hard time the first year of being a demonstrator. I had problems with, well, I won't tell you what the problems were, because I don't want to spread gossip or anything like that, but all I can say is when you choose to become a demonstrator, make sure you know who your upline is. So in other words, that's the person above you that you join to actually become a demonstrator in the first place. Make sure you know who they are. make sure you know who their upline is as well, because believe me, it will save you so much stress and anguish. It really will. But anyway, I got over that. That was fine. We dealt with that. We moved on. My team, as I say, were there supporting me, and things got okay. Now, something a lot of people don't know about me is I've got 4 children. 2 of my children are autistic, and they also have a dual diagnosis of ADHD. One of them, he's fine. He's very high functioning. He goes to university. He's just towards the end of his degree now, and he's doing brilliantly. Our other son, his needs are very, very complex. Very complex. He obviously goes to a special school because, like I say, he has very severe needs that need to be accommodated. He's a lovely boy, but he does have his difficulties. And one of the difficulties he has is in controlling his thoughts and feelings. Now, obviously he's had lots of work with psychologists and psychiatrists to help him through this, but it doesn't always work the way you want it to, does it? So when I left in September of 2018, it was shortly after an incident that we'd had at home. I wasn't sure actually whether to tell you this story, but I spoke to my husband about it, and he said, yeah, I think you should, because people with, or other parents with autistic children need to know that they're not on their own. And this is why I'm really telling you, not only because I want you to know the reasons that I like Stampin' Up, but also the actual reason why I left Stampin' Up. Now, my son had been having some difficulties at school for a little while. Nothing major, just small things that he was finding quite hard to understand. Now, you may have heard of the term meltdown when you hear about autistic children or autistic adults even, and it's very, very hard for a parent to watch their child having a meltdown. It is so awful because you can't help them. You want to help them, you want to hold them, you want to keep them safe, but sometimes you can't for your own safety. And this is where I kind of slipped up, because my son was having a real difficult time and he was really, really struggling. So I felt that I needed to keep a closer eye on him. My husband did as well. So we started to change things, such as the time that he could go on his iPad. Now, when you have an autistic child, you have to tell them what's going on, because if you don't tell them what's going on, they can't cope with it. And unfortunately, I didn't tell him what was going on. So we changed the time on his iPad, which for most children... Oh my God, can you hear that? That's the cat scratching at the back door. Goodness me. Okay, I'll let him in a minute. But let me tell you this, because I'm starting to waffle because I'm getting a bit nervous about it. What was I saying? Yeah, for most children, when they have a meltdown, they need to be left alone. When Matthew has a meltdown, unfortunately, he self-harms. So he can't be left alone. He has to be watched. He has to be sort of kept an eye on so that he doesn't do himself serious damage. And this particular day, he was having a meltdown. I was there keeping an eye on him, and he started to get really violent. It started off, the violence that was aimed towards his bed, then his wall, and then me. Now, to give you an idea of what sort of violence we're talking about, we ended up having to replaster the wall because it had a huge hole in it. The bed had to be replaced because it was broken. The window has now got a crack in it where he threw something really hard against the window. So, you know, it was very, very severe. And obviously I wouldn't leave him because I was worried he was going to cut himself, which he has done in the past. What I didn't know was that he had a knife in the room. He had taken one of the kitchen knives and the kitchen knife was in the room. And I wasn't aware of this. And I am sorry. I didn't see this knife. I didn't see it coming. And Matthew tried to stab me with this knife. And it wasn't just a dinner knife, it was a very sharp kitchen knife. And he tried to stab me with it. Which was obviously very shocking because I'm his mum, and you know, you don't expect your child to do that, and he has never done anything like that. So it really, I was terrified. In all honesty, I was terrified. My husband came into the room. He managed to wrestle it off him. But then Matthew ran past me, and we've got a loft room, and we had stairs leading up to this loft room, and it had a Velux window at the top. He ran up the stairs, smashed open the window, and got out onto the roof and started screaming that he was going to kill himself and he was going to jump. Now, we're in a townhouse, so this is 3 stories up, and it was just, it was awful. It really was absolutely awful. So we found a place, obviously. They were excellent. Oh my goodness, I could not fault the place for anything. It used to be years ago, people were so uninformed about autism that they never actually knew how to handle a person with autism. But Kent Police, oh my goodness, I couldn't thank them enough. We had 5 police cars out of the front of the house. We had 2 officers in the back garden, 2 officers at the front. We had 2 with us because we were downstairs at this point, and I'm not sure if it was 1 or 2 maybe were actually up in the loft, hanging out the window, trying to talk him down. And thank goodness they did. It took an hour and a half to actually get him to come down off the roof. And they brought him into the house and they arrested him. But that sounds really terrible that he was arrested. He's an autistic child. He's, how old is he now? He's 15. They've arrested an autistic child. Well, yeah, it does sound bad. And when they said to me, or to us rather, we're going to arrest him on a charge of affray, my blood just ran cold. I just could not believe it. I was so shocked. But then they explained, and it made perfect sense, because they said, if we arrest him now, we can take him into the police station. We can keep him in a cell overnight where he'll be watched every single second. Tomorrow morning, like the following day, he'll be assessed by the mental health needs team, and he will be given hospital treatment, everything that he needs, and at the same time it would give us time to recover. And when they explained it, it made perfect sense, and it was such a relief. In fact, it was so much of a relief I almost fainted. They think it was because my blood pressure dropped because the adrenaline stopped and all that kind of thing, but it really was such a massive relief. So after that, obviously I had to focus every waking second on him, because he couldn't go to school. He was off school for about a month. He had to have various different interventions from various different health professionals. But because of that, I decided that I needed to leave Stampin' Up because I needed to spend the time on him and on helping him get better. It was a really hard decision because Stampin' Up was my life, you know? It was what I did. It was my respite, my release, I can switch my brain off from being the mother of a severely autistic child and my own health problems, and I can focus on enjoying myself. I can focus on creating cards and, you know, trying to figure out what colour ink to do with another colour ink and all the different things that go with creating. You know, it's good for you. It is really, really good for you. But I knew that I had to spend the time on him. Now, I do suffer with depression. I have done for many years. And after that incident with Matthew and the threat of being stabbed, I started to develop quite severe anxiety. Now, anxiety is very, very difficult to try and get your head around because from the outside you look fine, but it's the thoughts that are going through your head at the time. And funnily enough, someone actually said to me this morning, it was my hairdresser, she said to me that she'd read something on Facebook and she's going to go and try and find it for me. But basically it said that one of the sort of ways of describing anxiety is that you're in a room full of people, but you are completely alone. And that really struck a chord because I thought, yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, I'd have family and friends saying to me, why don't you go out? Why don't you leave the house? What's the matter with you? Don't you want to go anywhere? Don't you want to do anything? Well, no, I just want to hide in my hole. I don't want to go anywhere, thank you very much, because I'm just too scared. I jump at the slightest little noise, which I still do. I can't quite get rid of that one. Anything that was changing would freak me out completely and I wouldn't know what to do with myself, and it was just awful. It was horrible. I'd get tingling in my face, in my hands, in my fingers. My face would go numb. Oh, it was a horrible time. It really was a horrible time. I had a bit of a repeat incident with Matthew, probably about 2 or 3 weeks after the initial one, where he'd managed to find another knife and was going to stab me again. And this time I was very stupid and I tried to catch the knife, and of course it cut my hand. But, you know, thankfully my husband was here again and he managed to get it off him. So we still don't know where he actually got it from, because after that first incident we'd locked all the knives in the cupboard, so they were constantly under lock and key, and my husband knew where every knife was at every single stage, all the scissors, everything. So we can only think maybe he had a second one in his room that we didn't find when we searched it, and if he did, I've got no idea where. Really don't. I don't know where he would have put it, but never mind. We even checked the mattress, like the inside of the mattress. That's how thorough this search was, but we couldn't find it. Anyway, so things moved on, thankfully, and I was starting to get to the point where I was feeling really isolated and really lonely and bored, really. I did get very bored. I'm not usually the sort of person that gets bored, so I started to decorate the house and get a new kitchen fitted and pull down a wall and things like that. In the end, my husband said to me, for goodness sake, will you please go back to Stampin' Up before you have to rebuild the whole house? Which it was quite right, of course, because that's probably what it would have ended up with. So Matthew started to get better, and we got up to Christmas, and my lovely upline now, her name is Kim Fee from Simply Fairies. Oh goodness. Yeah, I'm sure it's Simply Fairies, Stampin' Fairies. I'm going to put the link underneath this video anyway, so you can go and have a look. Sorry, Kim, I should know this, shouldn't I? But I can't remember. But anyway, I decided to come back to Stampin' Up, and this time I did actually look into who I was joining and who was their upline, and I joined the lovely Kim, who I've known for quite a while now, and even though she wasn't actually my upline, she's always supported me. She's always been there if I've had a question or a query or something I didn't know what to do. She was there for me. She really is a wonderful, wonderful lady. So I joined Stampin' Up again, which, if you follow my blog, you might have seen that already because I put a post on there last week, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was the end of last week, to say that I'm back and I've joined Stampin' Up again, and it is such a relief. It really is. It's such a relief that I now have something of mine again, you know. I have my Stampin' Up again, and it's great, you know. People have sent me messages saying, oh, well done, we're so glad you're back, I hope everything's okay. I've even had people from Stampin' Up send me messages saying hello and it's great to have you back and things like that. It really is. It's like one big, huge family. Like all families, there are good things and bad things. You know, can't get away from that. Not everybody is going to like everything in the world. But just feeling a part of something again with Stampin' Up, it's just great. It really is great. So if you've heard any rumours that I left Stampin' Up on bad terms, those rumours are completely incorrect. I left because my son needed me badly. I'm glad to say he is now getting much better, and I've been able to try Stampin' Up again. And I've only been back for a week and I love it. Absolutely love it. I could recommend this to everyone. Just feeling a part of something, not feeling isolated, not feeling lonely, having people to talk to that understand what you say, you know. So if somebody says, somebody might say to me, oh, how much did it cost you to make that card? And I might say, well, I don't know, it's £3. Why do that? Why not go down to the card factory and buy one for £1? Is that, no, you don't get it. It's not just making a card or making a nice box. It's about the camaraderie, the friends, the support. And like I say, everyone is very like-minded. I mean, there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of demonstrators with depression actually who join to feel comfort, because that's what you do get. You know, you do get comfort from it, and you get the friendships from it. I mean, I've made some wonderful friends. In fact, my best friend, who, I mean, we call each other sisters now because we are so close, she lives in Holland, and it was only through Stampin' Up that we actually met, and we are going to be lifelong friends. There is no doubt about that. I mean, to the point that my children call her Auntie Sasha. That's how close we are. Her kids call me Auntie Lee. It's just, oh, the dog's barking next door now. Good Lord. But like I said, without Stampin' Up, we never would have met. So the message that I want to say to you really is, if you do feel isolated or lonely, or you need something, think about joining Stampin' Up, because just feeling a part of something and being able to take your mind off of your day-to-day problems, even if it's only for an hour a week. I mean, I tend to do about 4 or 5 hours a day, but I can because I've got the time. But even if it is only an hour a week, or even half an hour a week, an hour a month, or whatever, really, really consider joining, because like I said, it's just one big happy family community, and it's the best thing ever. Right, I think I've waffled on for long enough now. I've told you the story. Now you know what happened. Now you know why I left, and you know why I'm back. And hopefully you'll be seeing much more of me. Well, maybe not just me, maybe my hands, because I've decided I'm going to start doing my crafting videos again. So watch this space. You never know. You might see something. And if you subscribe to my channel, which is down here or down here, I'm not sure where it will be, but there'll be a subscribe thing down there somewhere. You'll never miss anything either. So give it a go. And if you are thinking of joining Stampin' Up, go for it, without a shadow of a doubt. Whether you join me and my team or join someone else's team, you should do it. It really is the best. See you later.